Hello, everyone. Hello, and thank you for joining me for today's Customer Success Unlocked webinar. Today's topic, we're going to talk to you all about my customers are ghosting me. What do I do? So I'd like to thank you all for joining me. We've got Laurie from France. We've got Tomer from Israel. We've got Maria from Croatia, Mo from Jordan. We've got a whole load of people on there: Emily, Elena, Anya, Philip, Jessica, Laura, Mary Kate, Rodrigo, Rushita, Sonia, Will. So thank you all so much for joining me today. My name is Carmel Granahan, and I'll be your host today. So we got the chat figured out. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. So feel free to type your question in the chat window, and we'll have some time at the very end to do a Q&A. A little bit about me: I've over 10 years experience in customer success, mainly in a SaaS company, B2B sales. Prior to that, I've done customer service, I've done sales support, I've done customer support, I've done customer service, waitressing. So I've always worked with people. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy that you've all joined me here today. I've recently started my own customer success training and consultancy business called Unify Success. And here I help customer success managers, customer success leaders, CEOs, founders, to all improve how they do customer success in their organization. And so you can do it faster, smarter than ever before. So giving some proven tips and tricks that I have picked up along the way. So my goal for this webinar is to equip you with techniques that you can use straight away to increase customer engagement. And I think that's kind of the whole ghosting. You know, it's a big topic in dating, but it's also a big topic in customer success as well, because we've all been there. It's happened to us all. You know, customers go quiet on you and suddenly it's like, oh, what's happening? So while they may not have churned yet, you know, they are at risk if you haven't been able to engage with them. So if you've been struggling, I want you to know that I've been there as well. And I've been through the process as as head of customer success and the customer success manager. But if you're struggling, this is probably why. You've been doing things the hard way. So you've been getting poor customer engagement because customers aren't responding to your emails. Therefore, you don't have a relationship really with your customer. Like you're there for them, but you don't know much about them. You don't kind of have that rapport with them. You're very much reactive when it comes to customer feedback and helping them in any way. So even onboarding, you know, you're nearly waiting for them to come to you. And what some of you might experience is high customer churn as a result. But you may not be at the churn stage yet, but believe me, if you're not engaging with them, you need to get that ball rolling in order to mitigate the risk of them churning. So before I deep dive into the 3 secrets that you've kind of seen on my social media, what's the biggest problem you're having as a customer success manager today? I just love to hear in the chat. So as a customer success manager, what's the biggest problem you're experiencing? I can definitely see that, you know, low or poor customer engagement is very much a problem, because we had so many people sign up for today's webinar, and there will be a recording as well. So if anyone wants to catch it on the replay. Okay, so everyone's staying quiet. Okay, getting them to buy in or be more accountable. Yeah, great. Thank you, Anya. Struggling with adoption. That's a huge one, Chelsea. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that one. Customers going dark within 90 days of renewal when we try to have conversations. Yes, that's huge about the future of the contract. So it makes it hard to forecast. Almost seems like we're not getting to them fast enough. Yes. The thing is, though, so you've left your 90 days, but the thing is that they don't see the need. You haven't given them enough of a reason to want to chat to you. That's the problem. Resistance to change to the digital world, huge, yes. building relationships with around 400 SME customers when building a new customer success department. Hassan, yes, that's definitely, I can imagine it's very, very busy for you, and you're probably working very much tactically more so than strategically. Customer negativity, negative attitude to get more discount on renewal. Yes, the negative attitude to get discounts, it's kind of, yeah, it's a very, very difficult one. So actually that could be a webinar in itself about, handling customer objections, especially around pricing. Customer don't come to product sessions. Yeah, so they're standing you up. Again, they don't see the value. You haven't sold it enough to them why they need to show up. Don't use the features. Yeah, it's really tough. It's a really tough environment, and thank you everyone for sharing those. So I agree, they are huge problems. And while we're only kind of focusing mainly on one today, it is all customer engagement is all connected with customer retention. So stick with us. So the 3 secrets we're going to chat to today about is why you should not keep using the same methods to engage with your quiet customers and what to try instead. So I'm going to give you some techniques to use there. I'm going to show you how you can, I'm going to talk you through how you can build better relationships by making your customers feel heard and why it's important. And secret number 3, you'll be shocked. Oh, sorry. You'll be shocked when I show you how you can double your engagement. Sorry, that's actually by implementing a simple customer feedback method. So they're the 3 areas we're going to focus on today. So if you're ready to dive in, type me in the chat and we'll get going. Great. Thank you, Anya. Okay, let's go. So before we kind of dive into the techniques of what you can do to kind of fix the problem or to get them to engage, we want to first look at some possible reasons why your customers have gone quiet. So I've just picked out 7. There's probably 107. There's probably 1,007. But here are a few that just kind of came to my mind straight away. Your customer is busy. So you have to remember that while it's your job to, show your customer the value of your product, it's not their job really to, make sure that that's not only their job is to use your software or use your service. So they might have a busy workload. There might be some deadlines they need to meet. They might have sales targets, a big project coming up. So it is important for you to kind of dig deeper maybe and try and find out information like that, in your discovery stage, ask them what they're working on, what their job title is, so that you understand more about their role and when they're busy and when they maybe have a little bit of a lull. The second reason they might have gone quiet is a change in business process, or organization and personnel. So, for example, your customer champion that you chat to all the time, they could have a new manager, and the new manager doesn't even know about your software, and so he or she has just told them to use something else. There could be different processes, so they're focusing, maybe on project management more so than CRM, for example, or their customers. So, there's many reasons why your customers could go quiet. But they've outgrown your product. This is huge, and they might be looking at competitors. So here you need to be actually monitoring their customer usage. So, and look at trends for that customer. So each customer should have their own map. And so you should see, okay, Carmel typically use it. I might not use it on a Friday because I don't work on a Friday. So that's no big deal. But if you notice that suddenly I'm not using it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday either, I'm maybe just using it on a Monday. So that clearly shows I'm just logging in maybe to check something. This is a clear sign that maybe they're looking at competitors. A change in personnel. So your point of contact has left. So this is something that came up on a customer call I had recently. And I suppose what you need to be proactive here. You should never just have one point of contact. You need to have several, at least 2 or 3. And you should have them on 1 or 2 of your meetings as well, at some point, so that they know what you look like, they know who you are. Have them included in some emails, ask them some questions, get them a little bit involved. you might have that one point of contact who you chat with everything about, like the contract and all of that, but you still need to have other people to kind of fall back on if that point of contact leaves. The customer might be having a poor user experience with your app and they just haven't said anything. So people are very different. Some people are very vocal about giving customer feedback, some people aren't. So this could be a possible reason why. They're not seeing the perceived value. So that could be connected a little bit. So basically the onboarding or adoption hasn't been done that well if they aren't seeing the perceived value. And so, sometimes you need to go back to the beginning and kind of start off again with that customer. I definitely recommend doing that if they're a kind of high value customer, to make sure that they do see the value. And then the last point is you haven't convinced them it's worth their time to meet or to chat with you. So I read a post on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and someone posted that your customer ignores content that ignores them. So if your content is more about you than them, then they're probably, they won't see the reason why they should meet and chat with you. And so one of the reasons I decided to do this webinar is because I have this, in my experience, this has happened as well. But when customers go quiet, customer success managers typically do this one thing. Do you want to know what it is? They usually go and send like 5+ of the exact same check-in email, expecting to re-engage the customer. And when you say it like that, you and I, we all know this is not going to work. So someone keeps sending you the exact same email, they're really just going in, forwarding it on, sending it on again, or copy and pasting the same text, sending it on again, or, I haven't heard back from you, and then the same text. Like, it's not working. So don't keep doing the same thing. I think that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So here's why you shouldn't do that, because number one, it causes customer fatigue. So by using the same engagement methods without seeing results, customers become very disinterested and annoyed, and they feel like your content maybe is irrelevant or repetitive to them. So by diversifying your approach, you can then capture their attention again and prevent them from completely tuning out. So that's why you shouldn't do it. It causes customer fatigue. It also causes a negative impact on deliverability. So if your emails are constantly getting ignored or deleted by your recipients, it can negatively impact your email deliverability, and email service providers may perceive your messages as being like low or spammy. And so when you're sending authentic, you're a real person sending that real message, you're not like an mass email marketing app, it's going into spam automatically, and you're probably ruining it as well for other customers. And you're wasting your time. You're wasting everyone's time. You're wasting the customer's time by resending the same thing over and over again. So do not do that. Do not send the same check-in email all the time. Here's what you should do instead. So listen up, take some notes. So the first thing I always recommend to do is look at the bigger picture. So look at, when did you reach out? Where did you reach out? So what method did you use? So was it email? Was it phone? Was it Instagram or LinkedIn? Where did you reach out? And what did you say? Okay. And you need to look at kind of how many times you said the same thing. What did you want to achieve even by sending this email? You need to conduct a customer 360. So a few points of a customer 360 here is like, review the data you already have in your CRM or your customer success platform. Review their app usage. So I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Review the initial goals that was set out. So maybe you just need to kind of go back to the beginning and say to them, you said you needed to get more organized, and maybe they're using your tool for that. Is this working for you? And if they say no, then you need to kind of dig deeper into why. You need to look as well and see if there's any support issues or feature release delays impacting them. So like they might be waiting on this feature to come and it's still not coming, or maybe it's released and they don't know about it. So you need to kind of look at the bigger picture. I would recommend, so if you've already tried them on email, you've sent an email maybe once or twice, 5 times, 10 times, whatever many times, and they're not responding, you need to use different methods. So engage with them on social media. Follow their company page on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Connect with them on a personal level on LinkedIn. You can actually, this is a great way to build actual, real, deep, meaningful relationships is through that personal connection on LinkedIn. Show an interest, engage with their posts. You might learn that about layoffs in a post. You might learn about funding. These are all kind of talking points and engagements, are ways to engage with your customer. Be specific in your email. So don't send big, long emails expecting them to respond, to read your big, long email. Definitely have a specific call to action. So one that worked really well for me in my previous job, actually, I think I just changed it to Thursday, but we used to have, can I book 30 minutes with you on Tuesday? And this was at kind of the initial stages. So the customer was just getting onboarded. But you could use this line at any time. So it's very specific. Can I book, or you can even have 15 minutes with you on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day you feel like. Or whatever day you can kind of try it out, trial and error. Or you might have some customers you say Tuesday, other customers Wednesday, other customers Thursday, whatever the case might be. If you've done your customer 360 and you realize there's an issue outstanding, why don't you email them and say that you're aware of this issue or that you have an update? Your update might be that the engineering team is actually planning to fix it in 2 months' time. Or, be very clear and specific on what you want to talk to them about. So I know while you're not customer support, it could be just that gateway to kind of get back in talking to them again. Be proactive. I'm a huge, huge fan of picking up the phone. It always scares me when I see customer success managers who are scared to pick up the phone. So pick up the phone and just call them. So if you don't have their direct number, call their office, and even challenge the receptionist. You might actually learn something, that person might be out sick for the last 2 weeks or the last month or 2 months. So by doing that, it will give you kind of an insight. Now you could just be passed through and you get their voice message or their voicemail, but that's okay too. Just leave a very short, brief message if you get that one. This one is probably, if you do get talking to them, be proactive in booking your next meeting at the end of your current one. So your meeting went well, just say, oh, let's reconnect again in 2 months. So how is it looking for you in August or September? Oh, you're away. Okay, let's go October then. So that's a really good way, again, being proactive. And this is one that I've seen shared on LinkedIn. If anyone actually saw the same post as I did, I can't actually remember the name of the person. I would definitely reference them if I did. But this is if you have nothing to lose at this stage. Your customer has not engaged with you. They've ignored everything. You've tried social media. You've tried phone calls. You've tried, being specific, a clear call to action. You've tried maybe CCing somebody else from the company, and everything is failing. You cannot get through to them. Then send them a direct calendar invite. And make sure to put a short description with it. So just put something, again, be specific in your short description. So that's, you've nothing to lose at this stage. So why not try it? It's still polite. It's not, you're not doing anything wrong here by doing that, but it'd be good to know if it works for you. So this was me before. We did have a lack of customer engagement. I didn't really know our customers. And then after I suppose I did better discovery calls initially. So I started off the relationship on the right foot. So built better relationships, and I increased there was an increase in customer engagement by 25%. So when I emailed customers, they replied back. I'm going to share some more kind of insights a little bit later as well on different things that you do need to kind of be aware, or you do need to use to engage with your customer. But now I want to ask you, what are you going to try to engage with your customers? So type it in the chat window. What are you going to try so you can engage with your customers? No, everybody's staying quiet. I think you can do a series of them anyway. Price review. Yep. So I'm not sure, that's a little bit out of context here, but to engage with your customer, are you going to try email? Are you going to try social media? I think in this day and age, you do actually need to be connecting on social media with them. You do need to be more specific and cut out any jargon out of your emails. Be very about them, not about you. This is about them. For engage the low touch customer, call them and find out how they're doing with the product. Yes, Bibiana, that's exactly what you need to be doing. Email and add value, engage on social media. Yes, and the personal bit, you do need to start getting personal. That's how you build that relationship where they will tell you stuff. Like in my previous role, one of our best customers, they told me that their senior above them were looking at a different CRM, and that he had really tried pushing for our CRM, but it was falling flat, and that within 3 months they'd probably be churning. And so while initially I was trying to fight for the corner, I just dug deeper to see why they were maybe choosing the other CRM, and everything became clearer. But if I didn't have a good relationship with that customer, he wouldn't have told me. And so 3 months with this shock would have been that this big customer had left. So that's what you need to. You need the heads up. You need to be on the ball, and you need your customer to talk to you. Okay, so we're going to move on to our secret number 2. So how you can build better relationships by making your customers feel heard. So do you have any secrets on how you build your customer relationships right now? Excuse me. Does anyone have any insights they'd like to share? Philippe just shared a really good point here that, and this actually, I have this covered a little bit later, but I think the ideal scenario is to identify which channel the customer prefers to be contacted on. 100%, yeah. Then send a message that is relevant to the use case. Yeah, I totally agree. I think though connecting on social can be more casual though. You don't have to nearly ask them, can I connect to you? Like if you send them a connection request, it's up to them to accept. So that's a little bit more casual, but yeah, you're totally right to find out what's best for them. Send relevant articles or news that pertain to them. Exactly, Emily, that's amazing. Building personal relationships by even telling them one personal thing about me, and people tend to return favors or be similar and expose something about themselves. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you have to open up the conversation to get them to feel at ease. So yeah, if you share something about you, they might share something about themselves as well. Ask questions and listen to their responses. Yeah. Bibiana, you must have secretly seen my presentation. And so here's 7 ways that you can build better relationships. So number 1 is actively listening to customer feedback, suggestions, issues. Ask questions. So you want to, find out more about their use cases, understand their pain points, get clear on their desired outcome. So this is really important. And if you're not clear at the beginning, because maybe, you didn't really deep dive into that, then get clear even further on in your journey with them. Personalize your communication. So we mentioned this. So yeah, find out their likes, their dislikes, their job roles. So what they do in their job, what they do at the weekend, how do they like to communicate and when. So I think Philip, you mentioned this one. So is it email? Is it phone? Do they prefer voice notes, video updates, quick 15-minute catch-up meetings? How do they like to communicate? Some people do like email. I like email sometimes too, because you can easily go back to it and just have a quick read of it. I do like the phone, obviously, as well, to discuss more in-depth things, online meetings, yeah, video updates. Always follow up. So be proactive in initiating regular interactions. So reach out when you have any app updates, which may help them. Check in on new team members if they join the company and they're using your software, of course, not just any team member. And follow up when you say you will. So something I've seen in the past is that, a customer really needs a certain feature to be able to solve one of their pain points. And you're supposed to release that feature, like, let's say in 2 weeks. 2 weeks comes around, the feature doesn't get released, and nobody follows up to say that, there's been a delay. So I think you follow up when you say you will. So if you had said 2 weeks, you'll hear from me, then you need to follow up in 2 weeks, regardless whether you have the update they want or not. Introduce relationship building activities. And this is something that I think it's ignored a little bit. And it's because customer success managers are being so reactive that they don't have time to be that little bit more strategic. So host webinars, workshops. Now, you do this in collaboration with your marketing team. So I've done this in my previous role. We got like MailChimp, their huge mass email marketing application. We got them to join us on a webinar, but I was the driver of that. But then I used our marketing team to, help with the email correspondence, the templates, the images, all that type of thing, the promotion. But you do need to start getting involved in these relationship building activities, workshops, particular pain points that you feel that, a few of your customers are experiencing. Why not run a workshop or a webinar to help them solve this pain point? Build a community. Now, this is something that people kind of really, it's becoming more common. But I think you should just invest. So I know the initial investment might be a little bit high, but for example, you could just start a Slack channel and have all your customers in there, and give it 30 minutes a day. So that's all you give it. Don't get bogged down by it. At a certain time every day, you just log on there, check for any email or check for any conversations, might post a question. And it's about as well customers meeting other customers. It's not just about you and seeing your customers where they are and what they're saying. It's about them meeting each other. Customer events. So with COVID, obviously in person wasn't plausible, but online, people love online events now. Host a lunch and live. So, you might give a feature update during lunchtime, that type of thing. So I do think we need to start getting involved in these relationship building activities and giving some input. Exceed expectations where we can. So under promise and over deliver. So I think that's been probably used quite a lot just in general, but it's good there as a reminder. Wow your customers when you can. So in my previous role as well, for a new customer, we would always send them, when they hit a particular segment or criteria, we would send them a postcard just to say, greetings from Galway, that's in the west of Ireland, and just say, welcome, thank you for becoming a customer. So you get a postcard it's not very common these days to get post, you get so many emails. Or we would maybe send them some, what would you call it, swag? So like a coffee cup or a baseball hat or something like that. Brainstorm as a team and come up with innovative ways. So your customers best, what might be relevant, what might not. But you do need to kind of maybe take some time at least once a year to try and brainstorm ideas on what you can implement, or brainstorming maybe what you've implemented. Is it working? Yes or no? Be proactive in addressing issues. So don't hide, get involved if needed. So when I say that, I mean, you can be working behind the scenes. When you've done, before you check in with a customer, you should be doing a quick check to see is there any outstanding support queries. And then before you get on that call, email John and say, hey, John, what's the update on this one? And, you drive it internally. You don't have to get involved with the customer. So you don't want your customer coming to you with lots of support issues, but you do want to know what's going on. And you do want to kind of give those little nudges from within as well. And then lastly, create a customer feedback program. So give your customers a voice, whether that's by doing a focus group or, having something that's very public for everyone to be able to give feedback on, or a private feedback program. And that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, is a private one. But there is so many ways that you can give your customers a voice. Make sure, again, to ask questions to understand. I think customer success managers by nature are curious, which is really good. And tell the customer about your customer feedback program and how it works. So like, for example, we used to, or actually I'll be talking about it more in just a moment, but I implemented a customer feedback program in my previous role, and we told customers how it works, that we met with a product leader once a month, and then we talked through kind of what was being prioritized, what wasn't. Nothing on the list was prioritized, but that was okay. It's still good for the customer to know that their feedback is being taken seriously. I want to tell you, I'm conscious of the time, but I want to tell you about a story here, because I think it incorporates lots of what we need to be doing as customer success managers to exceed expectations, to be present, all that type of thing. So I'd love if anyone knows the story as well, or watched this TED talk. It's only like 10 or 12 minutes long, but it's about a guy called Will Guidara, and he owned and operated a really fancy restaurant in the USA called 11 Madison Park. It was named the #1 restaurant in the world, and it was all down to a hot dog. That's how they got named the #1 restaurant in the world. And so it just shows you these small little things. So basically the story goes that he was clearing away some main course plates one night, and he overheard a table of 4 tourists speaking, and they said, oh, they had such a great time in New York, but they never got to taste a New York hot dog. And so his ears perked up, and he taken away their plates, and he said, there's a hot dog stand like literally up the street. So he ran out the door, went to the hot dog stand, grabbed a hot dog, back into the kitchen, and then he had to spend a minute or two convincing a chef to actually serve up this hot dog. So they jazzed it up, got some nice relish on the plate, chopped it up nicely into like 4 little pieces, and he brought them out. And he brought it out, and he said, to make sure you don't go home with any culinary regrets, here is a New York hot dog. So the impact of that, so this changed how they did everything in 11 Madison Park from then onwards. And so the lessons for you as a customer success manager is to be present and genuinely care. So you can't just be like, oh yeah. You know, you genuinely have to care about your customer. It's important to slow down to listen to the people around us. So you need to be listening for the different triggers from your customer, the different pain points they have. Something could be just so small, it could be fixed so easily, but you need to be listening in order to pick up on it. You need to take what you do seriously without taking yourself too seriously. So sometimes, you know, you need to actually show a bit of your personality to your customers, and not be too, you know, formal and professional, and treat each customer like a unique individual. You need to look for opportunities. So Will looked for the opportunity here. And not only, if you watch the TED talk, you'll go on, they actually ended up hiring like some sort of customer, I don't know, were they like customer advocate, or they came up with ideas. That's all, that was their job. They just came up with ideas. So if somebody booked in and said they're on their honeymoon, they would create a whole setup around that, you know, and all the props that go with it. So can you imagine even the promotion and all of that they got from that? So the hot dog had actually given them a new North Star. They realized that they weren't in the business of serving dinner. They were actually in the business of serving memories. So again, this is about like showing the customer the value of your product, not necessarily this is the product or this is the feature. So this is the outcome of using our product. You know, this is the problem that you solve. So I thought it's really, really good story. I think there's lots of similarities as well between a customer success manager and a server in a restaurant. So I definitely recommend checking out. But you do need to, if you want to progress in customer success, and if you want to do things different, or if you want to go far, you do need to start looking at things differently. But to do that, you need to be in a proactive position rather than reactive all of the time. Okay, and secret number 3, I'm conscious of the time here, but we'll dig into it. So you'll be shocked when I show you how you can double your engagement by implementing a simple feedback method. So it's a 6-step method. Who here already has a formalized type customer feedback program in place? Anyone wants to let me know in the chat? If anyone needs to jump off, I will be sharing the recording. I'm conscious that I did. We have gone over already. Net Promoter Score survey. Okay. NPS. Yeah, that seems to be like the benchmark. But do you take action on the back of those NPS scores? Like sometimes it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be that formal. It should be all of the informal conversations you're having. They need to be, I suppose, logged and managed internally. And that's where the customer wow comes in. It's not by somebody actively completing your Net Promoter Score survey. It's about those daily interactions or those interactions that you have informally and that they share feedback with. And then when you know, maybe 6 months time, you actually implement something that they shared with you. That's how you wow your customer. The reason that you need is, you know, obviously to understand and engage with your customers better. Again, I feel like I'm on repeat here with this. Ask questions, show them that you care, give them a voice. It's necessary as well to improve your product or service. So as I just said there, it's not just about that formal survey. It's about the what you're getting every day, the feedback you're getting on an everyday basis. So you need to be able to analyze that to meet customer expectations, to detect early warning signs. So regularly monitoring customer feedback can definitely serve as an early warning system. So somebody's saying, we really need to be able to send emails in bulk, and your system can't do that. You know, this is a huge thing for us, blah, blah, blah. So you need to even dig deeper and ask them, you know, how many times do you send these mass emails? You know, we're integrated with this app. Would this help you in the meantime? What email provider are you? So you need to kind of dig deeper always to increase customer retention. So it sends a clear message to customers that they're being listened to and valued. And this is something I definitely prided myself on in my previous role. And to validate your roadmap, because you can actually, your product team or your engineering team can go totally off track. They might have a whole other idea of where your app should be going. But it's always good to get it validated by your customers. And then you also give the customers what they want as well. So when I asked that question there, you know, a few people said the NPS, you know, there's lots of ways customer feedback. So over the phone, online meetings, in person, on a product demo, over email and live chat, focus groups, surveys, customer reviews, you name it. So these are all different places or ways that you can gather customer feedback. But you do need to measure it, and then what gets measured gets managed. So you need to be able to say, okay, 20 people have looked for this, you know, these are the use cases. So if your product manager comes back to you and says, I'm not sure I understand, what do you mean? You need to be able to give them more details. So when you collect and analyze, you must collect and analyze customer feedback so that action can be taken. So I'm going to run through the 6 steps. If I work with you directly, I can show you a lot more detail, obviously. So this is just kind of a top level, but here's the 6 steps to implement a simple customer feedback program. So firstly, you need an owner of this program. So empower one of your customer success managers to lead it. Then you need to create some basic guidelines. So ask questions to understand their use case. So you need to have kind of maybe a series of questions that you need to dig deeper on. Now, this is really simple. So you just create a Google Doc or a Trello board to categorize different areas of your software. And so if you're using a Google Doc, you can create a tab for each month. So for example, if you were using MailChimp, you know, you might have audience, campaigns, emails, what else have we got there? Automations, the different areas of your application. So if somebody says, you know, I'd love for my audience, I'd love for you on the, you know, the lower plan to be able to grow my audience to more than, I don't know, 5,000, you know, you'd put that in under audience. Put a link, include their email, the customer's email address, and a link to a conversation or a short summary for reference. Review and evaluate the feedback received for that month and summarize it. And engage with your product leaders. So you need to send a summary once a month with top level overview, meet with a project manager once a quarter to discuss results and any roadmap updates. So it's kind of that, it's that cross team collaboration that you need to kind of really be involved in here to drive that customer voice internally. But remember, it's not just from one place, it's from your daily interactions with your customers. So previously, there was lots of customer feedback logged in multiple places. I even spoke to a customer that said that what they did with customer feedback depended on the day, how busy they were. And so if it was kind of a bit of a slower day, things, you know, there was nothing crazy happening, feedback may get logged. But if it was a busy day, no, feedback wasn't going to get logged. There was no formal process in place. And the customer success managers weren't actually up to date on any roadmap changes, which can easily happen. So afterwards, there's a clear process implemented, no more going either on gut feelings, customers and data to back up the feedback. So that's the thing, you need to back up your instincts. Increase in happier customers as, let's say, for example, an email integration was released. And now this wasn't 100% down to the customer feedback program, but it definitely could see a 500% increase in online reviews in 1 year because the customer was more engaged. They replied back to your request to review. And so therefore it was like a win-win. So definitely rolling out a customer feedback program benefits everyone. Just remember, a little reminder, your customers want to feel heard. So that's today's session. We covered a lot there. I realize now that this probably should have been an hour session. When I was practicing myself, of course, I was doing it under the 30 minutes, but it's always different once you go live. But yeah, so what we covered today is we looked at the possible reasons why your customers might have gone quiet, why you shouldn't keep doing the same thing over and over. And we looked at, very importantly, what to do instead. So the 6 things there to do instead. We then looked at the 7 ways to build better relationships. And then we brainstormed ways on how you can wow your customers. And definitely look up that video from Will Godera. We looked at the reasons why you need to handle customer feedback better, where you collect customer feedback, so the different places. So everyone should know this within their company, and the 6 steps to implementing a simple customer feedback program. So that is today's session. I would like to thank everyone for joining. I know we went a little bit over. We talked very much about customer engagement, and so I hope you all took away some good takeaways from that. I'd like to invite anyone who's maybe struggling a little bit with customer success at the moment, or that you want to do better. I think sometimes, you're tired of maybe customers ignoring you. You've got some good information here today, but you need to actually get an action plan in place. And I'm definitely all about taking action. One of my customers, actually, I spoke to recently, they said from our call, they took away 8 actions after the call. Another, they took away 5 actions, 3. And I don't know if I'm using the word actions, but they all seem to reference actions as well. If you want to build stronger, more engaged relationships with your customers, you want to start showing your customer real value. So, we need to look at the journey of your customer. So from how they get onboarded, to adoption, to retention, to expansion, and to advocacy. So we need to kind of maybe look at the whole journey, or we can just hone in on one particular area that maybe you just need a little bit of help with, and that you kind of need to kickstart. If you want to make a difference to the growth of your small business, then it's definitely worth taking some time to invest in that. So it's for customer success managers. So these are the people I help. I help customer success managers, customer success leaders, founders, and CEOs who want to grow their business for sure. And that's today's session. Has anyone any questions I can help them with? I'm just going to post a link there to the call. And I'll just post my details as well. So if we're not already connected on LinkedIn, then feel free to connect with me there. It's just Carmel Granahan. It's going to post if anyone wants to have a quick chat. So I have some spots tomorrow for a 30-minute chat, or I have some spots on July 31st. So not a whole lot of availability at the minute. But my calendar, you can book in for August as well if that suits you better. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining. You've all been absolutely wonderful, and thank you for the interaction as well. I think it's really good sometimes to be able to see that the issues other customer success leaders or managers are having, so that you're not alone. And that's what it is, about building that community, getting to know each other's pain points as well. So thank you all so much. Really engaging. Thank you, Philip. Brilliant. Yeah, there was great interaction. I'm really happy with everyone for joining, and thankful as well. Thank you, Carmel, very helpful. Tired for not being a CSM. Thank you, Carmel, great session. Great, thank you for today's webinar. You're very welcome, Viviana. Thank you, Carmel, really great stuff. Great. So sometimes as well, it's reminders that of things maybe that you might have known, and you just need to kind of to remember, to remember or to be reminded of things. But it's definitely, if you want to move from being very reactive to being more proactive, definitely get in touch. I'd love to chat with you. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry again for keeping you so late. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining, and stay tuned. I'll be hosting another webinar next month. I'm also joining another customer success leader on a webinar next month. So I'll be sharing some details of that as well on my social media. So yeah, I'd love to stay connected, and thank you all for joining. Have a great day. Bye-bye.